as I usually do. So guys, welcome to level 10. It's a very exciting level because it's the beginning of a new and last stage, right? The last level is actually B2. And there are 3 modules in this level, right? Module 10, 11, and 12. So at the end of these 6 months, guys, you should be able to get to that level B2. So it's very exciting news, isn't it? Okay. I remember that I've already asked a couple of people about whether they are new. And Paz, you told me that you are new, and Agustin also, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then Paula, you are coming back from a couple of months off.
Yes.
And what about you, Diana? I don't remember if I asked you because I think we chatted very late last night. Are you new to this program or are you coming back?
No, I am not new because I received this program like 2 semesters before, but so I'm not new, but it is my first time with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, so welcome everybody. All right, so guys, the first day, as usual, we have kind of a long conversation where we read and discuss and clarify anything about the program, right? Well, that's what we're going to be doing today. Going through the official letter, that is a very important document that teachers and students are sent every bimester with reminders of very important things. Then we're going to be going through the program where we get into details about what the course objectives are, and the methodology, the evaluation, etc. And after that, we'll discuss the course's calendar. I usually modify the dates a little bit, trying to look for things to be more convenient to you, to give you more time. But we will get to that part later. And finally, we're going to start unit number 1. So guys, I'm gonna ask you to please remind me if it is 10:40 and I am still talking a lot or whatever, feel free to tell me, teacher, it's 10:40, we need to stop, okay? Because I don't want to abuse your time. And I know that sometimes I keep on going because I am used to teaching 2-hour classes. So for me, hours of 15 minutes are still confusing. So please feel the freedom to tell me it's 10:40 and we will stop there so that you don't have any problems in case you need to leave early or in order to respect the rules of the course, of course. Okay, perfect. So let's start with the first document. And I'm gonna ask you guys some help to read it because first of all, it's kind of boring to listen to the same person for a long time. And also that will be helping me take care of my voice, okay? So I'm gonna share this document and ask you for help to read some sections of it. Okay. So Melanie, good morning, how are you?
Fine, and you, teacher?
Fine, thank you. Could you please help me reading the first part of this document?
Yes.
Thank you.
Estimados estudiantes y docentes, reciban un cordial saludo por parte del programa de cursos de conversación. Les doy una cálida bienvenida a este nuevo módulo bimestral. A continuación procedo a indicar algunos puntos importantes. A. Sobre asuntos relativos a la clase. Periodo de lecciones del segundo bimestre. Grupos martes y jueves, del martes 15 de marzo al jueves 12 de mayo. Para este módulo lectivo, el curso se mantiene en línea en su totalidad, lo cual significa que recibirán 48 horas lectivas de clase, cada una de 50 minutos. Es importante señalar que el Consejo Asesor de la Facultad de Letras determinó que para el primer semestre del 2022 se dará prioridad a los cursos de carrera en cuanto al uso del espacio físico, por lo que los cursos especiales como el nuestro permanecerán virtuales durante este periodo. Oportunamente se les comunicará si para el segundo semestre del 2022 se retorna a la presencialidad y cuál será el protocolo a seguir. Les recordamos que en esta modalidad las clases se van a efectuar de dos maneras. Asincrónicas, los estudiantes trabajarán con las guías que recibirán oportunamente por parte de sus docentes. Sincrónicas, los estudiantes practicarán la parte oral por semana en una sesión de 50 minutos. Esto se llevará a cabo en grupos pequeños de no más de 10 estudiantes con su docente, durante el horario del curso y mediante la plataforma de Teams o la que elija el docente. Las guías deben de compartirse por medio de Teams, pero el docente puede emplear otras aplicaciones o herramientas como apoyo para las sesiones sincrónicas. Para ello, cada docente acordará con cada subgrupo, si fuera el caso, el horario para estas prácticas.
I was muted. Yeah, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so guys, let me remind you or clarify some things here. Well, first of all, as you can see, this period is contemplating the fact that Eastern Semana Santa is off, right? We don't have classes at all that week. Okay, so that's why we have 9 weeks contemplated here instead of 8 as usual. So if you want to make plans, you can, okay? Then we are not going to use Teams. We are going to be using Zoom all the time, unless there is some kind of emergency with Zoom, but in general, it hasn't happened. Okay, the part about synchronic and asynchronic lessons, let me talk a little bit more about that so that we don't go back later to the same topic. So the asynchronous activities are usually, guys, going to be, well, taken from the book. Usually this level, I'm going to be changing some things from the way I was doing things last time. But please, it's really important that you do this asynchronous activities, okay? Remember, they are part of your learning. They are like a mandatory part of the class, right? I am not the kind of teacher who's gonna ask you to send me everything by email to check that you are doing everything. However, every now and again, I'm gonna be assigning some specific kind of practice where I need you to submit your answers for me to see how you're doing, okay? Especially when it comes to grammar and vocabulary. So my main objective in this level is to assign things from the unit from Tuesday to Thursday, because I know there's less time in that period. And then from Thursday to the next week, the most demanding, time-consuming activities, okay? I'll try to do this, again, in order to benefit your learning and to give you more chances to be ready. I usually, for those people who are new, I usually email you a presentation like this before every week, before every class. And at the beginning of it, we are going to have some activities related to what we're going to do in class, right? For example, for today, I included a few things. And then there will be a section that will clearly say asynchronous activities, right? So every class I will let you know, well, guys, starting on slide number 10, you have the synchronous activities that you need to complete for this day, okay? And the way I organize it is I tell you what you need to do. I don't always use only the book. I usually give you practice from many different websites in order to help you get, well, first, because it's less monotonous, right? And second, in order to help you have more variety and more exposure, okay? So I tell you what the exercises that you need to do are, right? Specifically by page and number of exercise. And then I always include, if these are from the book or a PDF, for example, I include the answers for you to check those exercises, okay? So guys, you need to remember that it's important for you to be autonomous in this regard, but that doesn't mean that you cannot ask me questions, of course, right? So for example, last term, some people were always like sending me, photos of sections that they didn't understand and asking me when they had a question. And know that I will answer, sorry, when you ask, okay? Personally, I think the most effective or the fastest communication method is WhatsApp. So feel free to text me. Sorry. Wow. Longest lasting motorbike ever. Feel free to text me if you have a question, because I think that is faster, right? Some of you send me emails, that's also okay, but I check the university email like 2 or 3 times a day. So if I don't see your email, I might not reply immediately. Okay, so that is pretty much about asynchronous activities. So we're gonna go back to the document. And let me skip ahead a little. Okay, so guys, because we have a small group, this doesn't really apply, okay? But I am taking into account the comments that you gave me last term, and some of you wanted me to do more grammar in class instead of, for example, reading and listening. And I think that is a really valid request, so I am completely up for it. So we're gonna be doing a little bit more grammar, vocabulary, practice in class, and a lot of speaking. So for those of you who are new, please take into account, well, if not only the new ones, everybody, that if I assign some reading or listening, maybe from Tuesday to Thursday, and especially if it is from the book, it might be related to the discussion that we are going to have the following class, okay? So that is even a more important reason for you to do that, okay? Okay, so we're going to continue with points C, D, and E. Nicolas, please, can you help us read in this section? How are you, by the way?
Hello, teacher. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ok, C. Es necesario que los estudiantes utilicen el nombre con el que aparecen en la lista de clases al ingresar a la sesión sincrónica. Por razones de seguridad, el docente no debe aceptar a sus grupos a estudiantes con seudónimos, acrónimos u otros apelativos. Y la ausencia no podrá ser justificada por el docente ni tampoco por el coordinador. La evaluación se realizará en 100% en línea. Es el punto D. El punto E, el correo suministrado al personal docente por parte de la Fundación UCR es de uso obligatorio, de manera que sea medio que se utilice para las comunicaciones con o los estudiantes. 4. La asistencia a los cursos es obligatoria, Se permitirán las ausencias de 50 minutos cada una por módulo lectivo y se deberá presentar una justificación a la coordinación. El correo al cual debe enviarse la justificación junto con la documentación probatoria. Esa coordinación, conversación al MAUCR.acr. El mismo se dirige a la MAC Laura Castro Esquivel con causas justificadas, las estipuladas en en el Reglamento General para Estudiantes del Programa de Cursos de Conversación. 5. Si por alguna razón los estudiantes no entregan a tiempo alguna evaluación, si no realiza las pruebas en el tiempo establecido para tal fin, deberá presentar una justificación tanto con la coordinación del programa para tramitar la reposición. Son causas justificadas las situaciones estipuladas en el Reglamento General para Estudiantes del Programa de Cursos de Conversación.
Could you
¿Leo
please
también eso,
finish it
profe?
out? Yes.
Ok.
Finish this paragraph, please.
Cursos de
Thank you.
conversación, ok. Únicamente se repondrán pruebas y se aceptarán la entrega extemporánea de evaluaciones por causas justificadas y planeadas, demostradas a la coordinación con copia al docente con documentos válidos. El correo al cual debe enviarse la solicitud junto con la documentación probatoria es la coordinación de conversación. El mismo se dirigirá a la magistrada Laura Castro Esquivel. Al estudiante debe indicar el nombre completo, el nivel, el idioma, el nombre del docente a cargo. El profesor repondrá a las pruebas que el estudiante no haya realizado, únicamente cuando la coordinación lo avale.
Thank you very much.
¿Sí, también? Okay.
No, it's fine. We are going to stop for a minute in case there is a question. Thank you so much. Okay. So guys, please, again, feel free the freedom to reach out to me if you have a problem of any kind, okay, with work or with your connection, okay? Because that could happen to anybody. Does anybody have a question so far?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Teacher,
yes,
I have a question.
Of course.
How are you? Good
Fine,
morning.
thank you.
I have a question about the classes. We are going to use only Zoom, or we have to use Teams, by the way?
No, only Zoom, because personally, I don't trust Teams very much. So Agustin, what we do is that we use email. I email you the materials every day. Well, every Monday and Wednesday before the class.
Okay.
And I always like label every email by, for example, lesson number 1, March 15th, right? So that way, and we have a group. So yeah. I include I try to include absolutely everything that we are going to need before a class in the same presentation, so that it's not confusing. Okay. Today is like the only day where I send you all these documents as attachments and the presentation additionally, but in general, it's always going to be organized on the same Canva presentation with the links to everything. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay. Well, let's carry on with points 6 to 7. Maybe Daniela, please, could you help us with this section? How are you?
Hi, teacher. Great.
Very well, thank you.
Los exámenes finales de escucha de inglés, italiano, portugués, francés, japonés y alemán se llevarán a cabo en las fechas de la coordinación establezca. Una vez el docente haya revisado estas pruebas, deberá indicar a los estudiantes la calificación obtenida y darles retroalimentación. En las evaluaciones sincrónicas, es decir, las pruebas orales, presentación del proyecto, exposiciones u otra evaluación oral, la habilitación del video y el audio serán obligatorias por parte de la persona estudiante. Lo anterior con el propósito de verificar que la identidad de la persona que esté realizando la evaluación coincida con la información personal de la persona estudiante matriculada en el curso. Y continúo indicando que el video y el audio deberá habilitarse como garantía de la correcta y ética realización de la prueba. El examen oral se llevará a cabo de manera virtual según lo que determina la coordinación. Esta prueba será grabada y la estudiante o el estudiante deberá tener la cámara encendida en todo momento durante la ejecución de la prueba, tal como se explicó en el punto anterior.
Thank you, Annie, very much. So guys, something else that is very important when you have an evaluation, make sure that your internet connection is working, because I know that many of you don't turn on your camera because when you do, the quality of the connection comes down. But that day, it's mandatory, right, to have a connection that is strong enough for us to be able to see your face and hear you well, okay? So if you feel that you cannot do it from the place that you usually connect, please try to find a solution in advance. What else? Well, please take that into account that this is always going to be recorded, okay? Why? Because the coordination might ask us to send them the proof that everything is going all right. Or for example, if you have a complaint, which is always valid, right? Because you think that the teacher was not fair or whatever, you can always complain and write to the coordination and explain. And we are going to have proof of what happened, right? And that way another person with a new set of eyes and, you know, an objective point of view can also watch the video and you know, help you with your claim. Any questions, guys, about this section?
No, teacher.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure thing. Okay, let's see. We have how many more sections? One more. Okay. Sobre aspectos administrativos. Maybe, Paz, can you help us reading this section, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Se le enviará a los docentes el enlace para acceder a un formulario de aceptación de curso para que lo distribuyan entre los estudiantes. Este se debe completar durante la primera semana del curso. Es muy importante que todos los estudiantes llenen el formulario con los datos que allí les soliciten. 2. Se brindará atención de manera remota en un horario de lunes a viernes de 8 a.m. a 5 p.m. Tanto la oficina 120 como la casa de idiomas permanecerán cerradas hasta nuevo aviso. Si requiere atención o realizar una consulta, pueden hacerlo a los teléfonos 2511-3905, 2511-8415 o 2511-1952, en el horario ya indicado. Asimismo, les recordamos que las cuentas de correo institucional son cursosconversación.elm@ucr.ac.cr.
Don't worry, we can skip the others. Okay.
Por el momento no se tramitarán carnés y la entrega de certificados de aprovechamiento impresos del año 2020 y anteriores se hará por medio de citas. Para obtener una cita se debe enviar un correo a la dirección cursosconversación.lm@ucr.ac.cr, donde indica el nombre completo, el número de cédula, el idioma y el nivel. 4. Es importante informarles que a partir del 2021 los certificados de aprovechamiento se emiten de manera digital y les serán enviados por correo electrónico a la dirección registrada en la plataforma una vez firmados digitalmente por las autoridades universitarias. La entrega de esto se lleva a cabo del siguiente modo. En inglés se entregan en los niveles 4, 8 y 12, en francés en los niveles 4,
Thank
8 y
you.
12 y sí.
Sorry for interrupting you. Maybe we can skip the other languages.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Ok, 5. Si requiere una constancia de enviar un correo a Cursos Conversación, es necesario indicar el nombre completo, cédula y qué datos se deben incluir en el documento. Un historial de los cursos aprobados, el horario del curso actual, el costo de los cursos, aclarar si es para alguna entidad como CONAPE o la caja. El trámite tarda aproximadamente 4 días hábiles luego de realizada la solicitud. La constancia tiene un valor de 2040, pagadero según se le indique. Durante los periodos de matrícula no se tramita ningún tipo de constancia. 6. Al aplicar cualquier matrícula en los diferentes idiomas, queda en firme y por ende no aplican devoluciones de dinero, únicamente en casos en que se cierre el grupo matriculado. Asimismo, si por error se cobra una suma equivocada mayor al monto de la matrícula, será la devolución correspondiente. El trámite se realiza por medio de la transferencia bancaria una vez que reporte los números de cuenta IBAN.
Thank you so much. Okay, maybe we can ask another person to help us finish. Diego, hello. Can you help us, please? How are you?
I'm fine, you teacher.
Fine, thank you.
Ok, 7. Se le recuerda que por las leyes de derecho de autor existentes no es permitido fotocopiar los libros de texto utilizados en el programa. Para admitir el material deben contactar a los distribuidores. A continuación les indicamos los contactos. Teacher, I read this.
No, please. Go. In your case, for example, thank you for asking. In your case, guys, you will need to contact Textos Educativos, right? Does everybody have the book so far?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
I don't have it yet.
teacher.
Yes, I have.
Danny doesn't have it. Okay.
Me too, I don't have it.
Okay,
Yeah, me
let's
neither.
just. Okay, no problem at all. The ones who don't have it, please send me a text on the chat, and I will send you the pages for the homework. Okay, because you need it for, you know, the asynchronous activities today.
Teacher, in WhatsApp or right here?
No, in WhatsApp. Sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
so that I remember when we finish the class.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Sure. So the ones who need it, please let me know. Okay. So please, Diego, carry on.
Okay. Es importante aclarar que los libros no se venden ni se retiran en la Casa de Idiomas o en la oficina 120 de la Facultad de Letras. El programa Cursos de Conversación no es responsable de la entrega de material que sea adquirido por la población estudiantil, ni de fijar o modificar los precios del mismo, por lo que cada estudiante debe consultar con el distribuidor correspondiente. 8. Se debe leer el reglamento general para estudiantes del programa Cursos de Conversación, el cual se puede descargar desde la plataforma del programa en la dirección cursosdeconversación.fundacionucr.ac.cr. Deseándoles muchos éxitos en este nuevo módulo lectivo, se despide atentamente Laura Castro Esquivel.
Thank you very much, Diego.
You're welcome.
Guys, I'm sorry, I forgot to send you the reglamento, but I will email it to you later, okay? And we can discuss it. Maybe I will give you time this week to read it, especially the new ones, and we can discuss it next Tuesday. All right. Please remember, the ones who need to buy the book is Empower Level B2, okay? So that is it about this document, and now we're going to continue talking about the program. So please wait a second. Okay. So as you already know, the program is a document that tells us things like the objectives of the course, the contents, the methodology, and the evaluation, okay? And some specifications about what happens in each evaluation. And basically that's it. Okay, so let's ask another person to help us reading description and objectives. Nicole, hello. Can you help us here, please?
Yes, teacher.
Thank you so much.
Descripción. Este curso está dirigido a estudiantes con conocimientos del idioma inglés adquiridos formalmente en clase a un nivel preintermedio y está diseñado para capacitar al alumno en la comunicación oral a un nivel intermedio alto. Las actividades de escritura, lectura y escucha están integradas en los contenidos a desarrollar. El curso consta de 6 horas lectivas semanales de 50 minutos cada una en los bimestrales, lunes y miércoles o martes y jueves, para un total de 48 horas. 3 de estas horas se llevan a cabo de manera sincrónica con el docente semanalmente. El objetivo general: comprender conversaciones y textos en inglés y expresarse apropiadamente de forma oral y escrita en menor medida a un nivel intermedio alto de acuerdo al marco común europeo de referencia CEFR. Objetivos específicos: al finalizar el curso, el estudiante podrá desarrollar su capacidad para comprender y tomar parte en conversaciones, presentaciones y discusiones en clase a un nivel intermedio alto, incorporar las funciones, expresiones, estructuras gramaticales y léxicas y aspectos de pronunciación propios de un preintermedio para conversar desde los diferentes temas estudiados en clase, utilizar diferentes estrategias para el desarrollo de las 4 macrodestrezas: hablar, leer, escuchar, escribir, y las microdestrezas, en especial vocabulario y gramática. Y también apreciar y discutir las diferencias culturales existentes entre la cultura costarricense y las culturas angloparlantes.
Thank you, Nicole, very much. So a couple more things, guys. As I mentioned previously, in class, we're gonna emphasize especially grammar and vocabulary. However, once in a while, I might use a short video or a short reading or something else in class in order to give you more content or more context to talk about, right? Please remember, reading and doing a lot of listening are essential out of class to help you not only get exposed to the language and improve your comprehension, but also to develop and widen out your vocabulary, right? So it's really important to do this out of class. I'm usually going to give you like additional extra practice, and I really hope that you can do it, okay? Because even if it isn't obligatory, it's super useful for you. Okay, contenidos. So something really good about this level is that we're gonna be covering only 3 units, because it's level B2. The units are a little bit longer, or maybe the grammar is a little bit more, let's not say difficult, but maybe a little bit of a review of things that you haven't studied before, but you know, we are gonna widen them up or go more into more detail. So, and besides new structures, of course. So if there's something that we're studying that seems very familiar and you think that you might not be learning something new, always think about the fact that learning a language is not something that it just goes one direction, right? It's not unilateral. It has to go going back and just moving on, right? It's like a very convoluted process. So if even at this level, there are some things that you have studied before and you don't understand why we are studying that before, the main reason is because it needs polishing. It needs to be improved and to give you that extra consolidation before levels 11 and 12, okay? All right, That being said, wait, I'm gonna read this part. So, contenidos temáticos, personas sobresalientes, retos, tecnología, supervivencia, situaciones peligrosas, el ambiente natural, talento, actividades y asuntos deportivos. And contenidos gramaticales, repaso de tiempos verbales. I remember that last term, some of you were asking me about that. So this week we're going to be working with that, and I think it's going to be a really good refreshment for everybody, especially when it comes to knowing the difference between present perfect and past perfect, and also present perfect versus past simple, which some people still, even though you know the structure, might not know how to use in context when it is very specific. Then we have preguntas de tipo indirecto, directo e indirecto. Tiempos narrativos, cláusulas de tiempo en futuro y condicionales. Verbos compuestos y presente perfecto simple y continuo. Okay. So now about the methodology, maybe Fernanda. Hello, Fernanda. Could you read this section for us, please?
Morning.
Good
Teacher.
morning.
Okay. Metodología. Los estudiantes tendrán una participación activa en el desarrollo de las tareas asignadas por los docentes y llevarán a cabo actividades individuales, en pares y en grupos que promuevan la comunicación. Los docentes serán facilitadores de la comunicación y utilizarán las sesiones sincrónicas para reforzar la habilidad oral de los estudiantes. Los docentes utilizarán diferentes plataformas y herramientas virtuales para el desarrollo del curso. Se contará con apoyo audiovisual, se analizará el material de lectura y se asignará ejercicios de escritura, escucha, pronunciación, vocabulario y gramática de acuerdo con los contenidos que se estudien en las diferentes unidades en las guías de trabajo semanal. Se espera un compromiso total de los estudiantes para poder alcanzar los objetivos del programa.
Thank you, Fernanda. Okay. Guys, what else? Well, the ones who were my students know that I entitled my students with a lot of responsibility, and I believe in the fact that if you are here, it's because you want to be, right? So when we go to the breakout rooms, I always expect people to be working, right? I come in for a few minutes to check that everything is going on all right and to clarify any questions, but mainly as a listener, right? If you're working and you finish very quickly, or if you don't know what you need to do, please click on ask for help and I'll go clarify any questions. By the time that we are on the breakout rooms, I don't think I had a problem with you at all, but please remember, if you finish, you can continue talking about something else as long as you speak English. But while you're doing the practice, take the best advantage of time to practice, right? Valga la redundancia. But most of the work that we'll do will be together. Okay, so we'll do some things with me. Everybody participates. Then we go to the breakout rooms where you have more chances to speak, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. Let me see. The evaluation. So this is the way it's divided. You are going to have two presentaciones orales, una espontánea y un proyecto. Bueno, la espontánea es básicamente como una entrevista, no, ese sería el examen final. Es como, yo les doy una situación, ¿verdad? Y les doy unos minutos para que ustedes con la persona que les toque lean y organicen las ideas, right? Y después desarrollen la situación lo más naturalmente posible. En esta parte, chicos, por ejemplo, ustedes habrán notado que en la hojita de evaluación vienen diferentes rubros, ¿verdad? Destrezas comunicativas, donde se incluye que sea claro lo que se está hablando, la fluidez. La fluidez no solo significa que yo hable sin parar, ¿verdad? Sino más que todo cómo fluye la conversación, right? También la autocorrección y el monitoreo de mis estructuras, right? Bueno, para los que son nuevos, yo puedo compartir como la rúbrica que se utiliza para esto, la voy a compartir en el grupo de WhatsApp. Los que no son nuevos ya la conocen, pero pensé que sería una buena idea aclararles, perdón, algunas cosas, porque a veces diferentes profes dan diferente énfasis a diversos aspectos. Entonces, en la parte comunicativa, es muy importante que yo demuestre no solo que puedo hablar, sino que puedo utilizar estrategias para reaccionar a lo que mi compañero dice o para preguntarle más, ¿verdad? Hay personas que naturalmente eso lo tienen ya en sí y lo hacen muy bien sin pensarlo mucho. Hay otros que tal vez pues nunca lo han tenido que hacer así, entonces por eso a veces en las notas, a los comentarios yo les ponía, trata de ejercitar un poco más, ¿verdad? Tus habilidades comunicativas, haciendo más preguntas, reaccionando un poco más. Entonces, para que sepan que eso es una de las expectativas en ustedes, ¿ok? Después, bueno, la parte de contenido y vocabulario también es muy importante porque a veces llegamos a un nivel intermedio como este, intermedio alto, y tal vez ya llegamos a ser fluidos, pero siempre usamos las mismas palabras. Entonces, no es solo la exactitud de lo que decimos, sino también el rango, que es algo que conscientemente queremos desarrollar, ¿verdad? Y el rango de vocabulario es algo en lo cual tenemos que ser muy autónomos para lograrlo. ¿Por qué? Porque cada uno de ustedes es diferente, ¿no? Habrán unos que habrán leído un montón, entonces saben un montón de cierta área, o algunos que están estudiando y en la U tienen que leer artículos de su especialidad, entonces aprenden un montón de vocabulario de eso. Por eso hay que procurar tener una exposición a diferentes tipos de recursos de input, right? Que científicos, que de tecnología, que de sociología, que de política, ¿verdad? Bueno, porque todo eso amplía nuestro conocimiento y capacidad de usar el idioma. El proyecto, chicos, como siempre, voy a estarles dando una hojita donde se especifica, ¿verdad? La guía, qué tipo de proyecto va a ser. Por lo general es en parejas y es un video que tienen que grabar. Por ejemplo, para los que no estuvieron conmigo, el nivel pasado hicimos un podcast, ¿verdad? Que quedó súper bonito, súper bien trabajado. Bueno, todavía no he seleccionado cuál va a ser nuestro proyecto, pero se los doy con suficiente tiempo, al menos 3 semanas de antelación. And each of this is going to be 15%, as you already know. You're going to have 2 written quizzes, 15% each. Usually the way we work on this is that I email them to you. We stay connected after our class, right after our 2-hour class, in case you have a question, if you need to clarify anything. And after that, if everybody's okay, we disconnect. You continue working, I continue, helping you through WhatsApp in case there's any problem or any questions. And then you submit the answers. Okay. Then the final test is still 30%. It's the very last day of the course, as you're gonna see in the chronogram. And that day is completely spontaneous, okay? That day, again, I show you a situation and I ask you additional questions about any of the topics that we will be covering in this units 1 to 3, okay? And there is a listening test that is 10%, okay? This section down below is explaining the same thing that I just explained, in case you need to go back and check. How do you get the results? Well, let me pause over here for a second. Well, the connection is a little bit slow. So for those of you who don't know me, I usually use a website that is called Book Widgets. So through a link, you receive the test. And at the end of the test, when you submit it and you enter your name and your email, that's it. I receive it, and then after I check it, I send it back to the email that you included in that when you send the information, okay? So it's a very easy process. And you will always receive the results as a PDF so that you can see everything, the corrections and the comments. And of course, if you have questions or complaints, you can totally reach out to me, okay? Okay, so let's do the very last thing related to this, so that we can start with our official lesson today. The first day is always a little exhausting for you, I know. So guys, in this calendar, here we have the dates. Okay. So before Semana Santa, we're gonna have our first assessments. It's gonna be that speaking test, that is, well, not test, let's call it quiz, where there's a spontaneous situation and you need to develop it with your classmate at the moment. And there is gonna be the written quiz number 1. Then we skip all the way ahead to May. And as you can see, well, I have changed the order a little bit in order to give you more time for the project and to study for the second written quiz. Because usually I think that they are too close together and that students don't have enough time. So I prefer to change it. And because this is a small group, you are only 10 people, we are going to have the speaking test only on the very last day of the semester this time, okay? Because it will be enough time. Okay, so the final listening test is on May the 3rd. And the project May the 5th. On May the 10th, we have the second written quiz. And the very last day of class is May the 12th. At the end of that day, or the following day, I usually send you the results. So it could be Thursday or Friday. And in the same PDF where you get the results for that test, you also get the breakdown of the class, of all the evaluation and breakdown throughout the semester. Okay. Does anybody have a question about evaluation?
No, teacher.
No, teacher. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So guys, remember that these 3 documents that we have read and discussed together were sent on this email I sent you yesterday. Okay. Thank you so much for your attention to all of that. So we're gonna go back to the presentation to move on to our first activity, official activity. Well, sorry, I included something important here on page number 2. Well, there you have my contacts, but I think most of you already have my number. We are always going to use Zoom, and this is the code, guys, to access the classroom and the online workbook on Cambridge. Okay. So for those of you who still don't have the book, you will have this week to join it. Okay. All right. So the very first grammatical point that we have in this level is a review of tenses. And I would like to ask you guys, first of all, how many verb tenses have we studied so far and that you remember? You can just mention the names if you prefer.
We say present simple, past simple, present continuous, the past continuous too, and the last one where I think present perfect and
That's
and the
perfect.
past perfect. Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So yes, basically you have studied all the tenses for the present and all the tenses for the past. Indeed. And also for the future, I think you have studied only future simple. And so in this module, in this B2 course, that again encompasses levels 10, 11, and 12, throughout this, you're going to be learning the other tenses that you haven't, which are future continuous and future perfect. And also, when you study the passive voice, you will have to know all of the tenses very well in order to be able to change them from active to passive. Okay? So the review that we're going to do right now encompasses only present and past. So I'm going to ask you, Klaus, to please click on this hyperlink that we have here. And when you do, it is going to open this interactive board. Okay. So let me give you the instructions, because after I explain, we're going to go to the breakout rooms to work on this. Okay. So, well, to see the board, you will have to click on start, and then you will drag and drop the functions and examples that explain the way each tense is used. Note that there might be more than one function for each tense. Okay. All right, so those are the general instructions, and let's see the board itself. Okay. So here we have a present simple, progressive, and perfect. And on the right column, we have past simple, progressive, and perfect. All of these white strips are draggable, right? So you can identify the functions because they have these red dot over there, okay? And the examples will be on the right. So the idea is to read the description, right, and decide if it is explaining the function for present simple or past simple or past progressive, etc. Okay, and we place it there. And the same thing with the examples, right? For example, for habits, repeated actions, facts, and things which are generally true. Well, yes, this is the way that we usually use present simple. But let's see if these examples here are following that description. I usually do my homework in the evening. She writes crime stories. Well, yes, right? Because we are talking about repeated actions. Like usually, for example, routines. And she writes crime stories, something that is a habit or a fact as well, okay? So remember, you can have more than one in each group, and in some others there will be only one function. Does anybody have a question so far?
No, teacher.
Okay. So guys, I'm going to open the breakout rooms. When we are on the breakout rooms, I stop recording the class so that you feel more, so that you don't feel intimidated or under the spot. Okay, so let me pause the recording. Welcome back, guys. Okay, I saw that you were struggling a little. This is normal because, as you said, some things look like they could go here or go there, right? And that's why it's important to review, right? To clarify some questions, because as the more you learn, right, the more knowledge is building up. And even though you understood something really well at the moment that you used it, maybe when new things come along, we have a tendency to forget what we have learned before, or maybe to get things mixed up a little. This is completely normal, okay? So don't worry about it, but it's important to make sure we clarify anything at this point before we continue building up on top of what you already know. So the image that you can see and that I have also shared on our WhatsApp chat is the answers, okay? So remember, we are gonna think about the aspects in English, right? First, we have simple. And when we listen to any tense, present, past, or future simple, in general, you need to remember that this is going to be first specific in time, right? We will know when it's happening. And second, that we're going to have one single word to tell us that tense, right? And well, in general, I don't think you have any problems to understand how to use present simple or past simple in isolation. But we need to remember, because sometimes people use present simple versus continuous very similarly, okay? Remember, guys, in the future, you're gonna speak English to people who speak other languages. For example, if a person who speaks French learns English, they are gonna tend to use present simple instead of present continuous, because in French, for example, as in other Romance languages, and this also happens, for example, with European Spanish, they use present simple for everything, right? Well, that in Spanish, el presente, el indicativo. So my point again is that if we notice that, it's important to expect that from speakers from different languages. And in general, this is not a problem for you, but it's just to help you get ready, okay, for what might come. So mainly in the present simple, we're gonna have habits, repeated actions, facts. And also another one that is very important is with state verbs, okay? have you guys ever studied state verbs? Because when we talk about conjugations, this might come up. So I would like to know if this is clear for you. Otherwise, I can explain.
I think I didn't remember them.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, thank you very much for letting me know. So guys, we have two kinds of verbs in English. We have action verbs, right? Which are the ones that we can actually see, right? That the word action is very transparent. So we have write, we have eat, we have sleep, we have drive, right? You can see the action going on. So it's very transparent. So with action verbs, we can conjugate any verb in simple, continuous, or perfect tenses, either present, past, or future. Okay, so no problem at all with them because they can all be conjugated and without us having to think about the kind of verb they are. But if we have state verbs, that's different. State verbs are non-tangible. They tell us more abstract things, such as, for example, feelings, right? So, sorry, my shoulder hurts because I'm not in my desk. I had to come to the office today and things are not my size. So feelings, for example, like want, like need, like love, like hate, right? They are non-tangible. We do not see them happening. Also senses, for example, of course, taste, smell, see, all the senses, right? Then we have cognitive processes, such as think, understand, believe. So these things happen in our brain, but people will not see them happening, right? Sorry, I need to move some stuff around there. And let me remember, what's the other group? Possession. Okay. Verbs related to possession, such as have, own, of course, possess, belong to, etc. Okay. So maybe I'll move things to the side a little. Okay, so what about the state verbs? Now that we know what groups belong to this category. Sorry about that. Now that we know that, what we need to remember is that with state verbs, we never use continuous tenses. We can only conjugate them to simple or perfect tenses. Okay, only simple and perfect, but never continuous. For example, we shouldn't say, "Oh, I'm smelling that." No. "Oh, it smells great," right? Or "I'm wanting an ice cream." Of course, we don't say that in Spanish either, so you never have that problem. But it's really important to remember. So when we have some actions that even though are temporary or are going on right now, which we usually conjugate as present continuous, we won't do that, okay? We are going to use the present simple instead in order to respect this rule. Is that better, guys? Please, if you don't understand something, feel free to ask.
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, so let me highlight the categories because I think that will make it more memorable. Okay, and I'll take a screenshot of this for you. Okay, then in present perfect simple, and it's very important to remember, guys, that we use present perfect simple also to talk about activities that were going on in the recent past, right? For example, I've posted your letter. Maybe you gave me a letter yesterday and you wanted me to post it today. So when I arrive home, and maybe I did it very recently, I will use present perfect simple. You know, I've posted your letter. Maria must, you know, be getting it next week. When was this book made that people posted letters? What else? Also, when you have repeated actions in the past, right, that are not clear when they happened. Like I've seen this film 3 times. When exactly, we don't know, we don't care. And of course, the most common use of present perfect simple is the one that you learned first in general, that is to say how long you have done an activity, right? I've lived here since I was a child. Sorry. Well, I think present continuous is very straightforward and I don't think you had any problems with it, but I saw that some of you didn't find room for this function for temporary situations. So know that it should go there, okay? Before we move to the past, are there any questions about the present tenses, class?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Okay. Well, moving on to a past perfect. Please, guys, remember that in past perfect, we use had plus past participle, right? And for reasons after because, which was a difficult one to identify, for example, I decided to walk home because I had forgotten my bus. Past, I think this is a poor explanation, especially out of context, but do you guys remember any other time expressions that we use with past perfect that we learned at the end of last trimester? Let me make room down here. Too slow. Not
Teacher,
even,
like before and after.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe since.
Before, after.
And I don't know, I think.
Since with present perfect, but with past perfect, no. Okay.
I don't know when.
When, very good. By the time, this is a very famous, right? By the time, or sometimes by that time instead of that.
Already?
Already, absolutely. Also just like when we use present.
As soon as is one of them or no?
As soon as, let me think, as soon as we arrived.
Or soon?
As soon as only for the first conditional with present simple past. For example, the first or the zero conditional. For example, when I say, as soon as I finish work, I have dinner, right? So that would be an example in the zero conditional. And in the first conditional, as soon as I finish work, I can relax. So basically, guys, with past perfects, these would be the phrases, okay? And now with present perfect, sorry. There we can use since, for, right? Just, already. Please hold on a second. I'm going to move somewhere else because my shoulder is killing me. Thank you guys for waiting. So I said with present perfect, we can also use these ones, right? That you already know. And of course also yet.
Teacher, if I said never, that
Never,
count?
yeah, absolutely. We can use it in both. Never and always. We can use it in both.
Teacher, can you say an example for that time expressions?
Of course. So, for example, let me open a board. Okay. So guys, thanks for waiting. So let's see examples. With past perfect and never. I had never thought about it until I met him, for example. Okay. Or I had always wanted to go to Tikal, but I hadn't been able to. Okay, so please guys notice how we're usually going to insert the adverb between the auxiliary and the past participle. Okay. Now with present perfect, it's very similar. Of course, what changes is the connotation, right? But we can say I've never felt like I need a car. However, now that I like hiking, I'm changing my mind. So always with that connotation, class, of to this point, right? To this point in my life, right? 2022. Well, maybe my feelings about having a car change start changing with the pandemic, right? I had never thought about that. Or the main difference between past perfect and present perfect in this case is that this, let's say I had never thought about it, let's say until 2020, because this is a past experience that ended, until I met him. So if I met him in 2020 and he changed my thoughts about something, that is already finished in the past. It was completed, okay? But in this case, it happened more recently. And with always is the same, right? For example, if I say I've always wanted to, what something I've always wanted to see the northern lights as everyone, right? But I don't know when I'm going to Norway. It's very expensive. Okay. And we also have always right there. Paz, is this helpful?
Yes, I think so. So the difference is that past perfect is with the things in the past, and they stay in that way. And present perfect is like happening. It's like in the past, but it's happening. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, you're explaining very well. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Past
okay.
perfect, totally completed in the past, right? And notice that we usually have, I have never thought about it. So this is like the context for the second event that we are going to highlight in red. Until I met him. This is the important event. What we have in the past simple, I met him, right? For example, is what is important in the past. So we're gonna highlight it here in red. He changed something in my way of seeing something, my opinion about something. So what the past perfect does is giving me that context before the important thing in the story, okay? And then present perfect, as you mentioned it before, it's something that maybe started in the past. For example, my feeling of wanting to see the northern lights. No sé, bárbaro. Sorry, that is a terrible line. Let me see if I can. So this feeling of wanting to see the northern lights, it started in the past, somewhere, let's say, I don't know, a long time ago, when I realized the northern lights existed, and it has continued to the present. So let's say that that feeling, that realization of the existence of these natural phenomena started in 2010, just to say something. And it has continued, and it affects my present, right? It's still present to this day. 2022, and it will continue there until I accomplish this. Okay, that with our current economy in this country might never happen. So yeah, that is the most important difference.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, class. Let's do one more thing before we go today. On page number 6, we can find these pairs of sentences, and we need to read them and see, of course, they are in different tenses, right? From the ones that we have just reviewed. We're gonna say if they have the same meaning or different meaning, because sometimes even though they are different tenses, the idea remains, okay? Or the difference is tiny, so it's not really that relevant. Okay, let's ask Paula, please. Can you read sentences 1A and B for us?
Sure. Dave studied Portuguese for 3 years. Dave studied Portuguese for 3 years.
Thank you very much. So, guys, what is the difference between these two? Anybody can help, can jump in if you feel that you know the answer.
I think in the first one, the action is already over, like they studied, but it's over now. And the second one, they start studying, but they aren't finished.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. In 1B, the action continues to this day. That's right. Thank you very much. Okay, let's compare now 2A and B. Diego, please.
Okay. Kemal's watching a DVD at the moment. Sorry. Kelman often watch DVDs, and Kelman is watching DVDs at the moment.
So what is the difference?
I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, Diego, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Paz.
In A, Kerman watch DVDs for I don't know for daily, I think. And in B, she or he, I don't know, is watching DVDs in this moment, I think.
Right, exactly. So maybe in this one, we don't know if it is daily, but it's often, right? It happens frequently enough to be a habit. Thank you very much, Diego. Okay, then we have 3A and B. Please pass. Read it and tell us if you think there is a difference.
Okay. Joe did her homework when I got home. Joe was doing her homework when I got home. I think A is telling that he had a very did his homework, like he finished his homework, but when I got home. But B is telling that he was doing her homework. He was I don't know, doing her practices. I don't know. When I got home,
right?
She didn't finish. So yeah.
Okay, you are perfectly right about 3B. However, in 3A, if we wanted to say what you told us, that we would have to use past perfect. Joe had done her homework when I got home. But here the meaning is that the moment that I arrived home, she started doing her homework. So she hadn't done it. Because this is depending on this. When I got home, this connection started. Okay?
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't be. Don't worry at all. It's an important clarification because many times people get confused about how to use past simple versus perfect. And this is a really good example of that. Okay, well, number 4, guys, is like number 2, so we are gonna skip it and jump straight to number 5. Let's see. Diana, please. Diana Murillo, can you help us with this one?
Yes, okay. Number 5, when we got there, the class start. And B, when we got there, the class had start. So in the A letter, when we got there, the class started, the class already start. In the past, and this time it maybe if we are talking about it, that maybe the class is already finished, I don't know. So in that event, it was in the past. And number B, the letter B, when we got there, the class had to start. Maybe, for example, our class, the class had to start at 9 and we are still in the class.
Okay, okay. What you said for the second one, Diana, would be true if we had present perfect. Okay. So in the first one, when we arrived, the moment that we arrived, the class started. Okay. And in the second one, when we arrived, maybe we arrived at 9 or 10 and the class had started at 9 o'clock. Okay. So the action started before this. Okay.
Before the event. Exactly. Okay.
No, thank you. All right, guys. Well, it's time to go for today, but in this presentation on page 7, you have practice where you can choose the correct verb in context, okay? So please do this in addition to the asynchronous activities. So for next class, page 7, we are gonna do this in class, so you can omit that. And then these asynchronous activities. Please remember, if you don't have the book, I'm gonna send you these 2 pages and you will be able to do the activities and check your answers, okay? So next class, we're gonna continue practicing because this is a really important review. So the ones of you who have the textbook, this grammar explanation in the chart and in the whiteboard that you were working with is on your books on page 134. In case you want to highlight it there, read it again. So keep it in mind, okay? And I'm gonna be sending you the recording of this class also in case you wanna rewatch the explanation, all right? So class, it was very nice to see you again today and to have you as my group. I think we're gonna do great things this bimester. And I'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you, teacher.
Nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.